Hello everyone, this is High Priestess Tana and I'm back with another video. Honestly, I want to start off by saying I apologize about the video that I posted last night because there's no audio. So I'm going to have to redo this video, unfortunately, but I hope I still capture the same essence and the same vibe, or maybe even do this a little better than yesterday, right? So, last night I posted a movie recap, a movie with a lot of spiritual symbolism and meaning behind it called Be Careful What You Wish For. It was made in 2021 or released in 2021, and it deals with a man named Ori who fell for a succubus who he thought was the love of his life, and obviously she was far from that. Okay, and he was going through a tough time with his girlfriend or fiance Deborah. I'm just going to say his girlfriend from what I remember, and they weren't on good terms anymore. Like they weren't compatible as they used to be before, and he was looking for some more excitement in his dream girl type of female, right? So one day he decided to make a wish to have this drop dead gorgeous woman with a beautiful body, nice feet, nice personality, open, adventurous, you name it, right? So we start off by we're introduced to Ori and Deborah and Ori's friends and stuff like that at the beginning of the movie, right? So Ori, he was hanging out with his friends, I believe at some type of bar slash strip joint, whatever. It was a lot going on. Okay, in the opening scenes, and it was pretty much showing like some chicks looked like they were wrestling, like oiled up and stuff, and it was very sensual because they were in bikinis, and you had some women stripping, you had people throwing money, you had people drinking and dancing and eating and stuff. So it was giving bar and grill slash strip joint. You know what I mean? So it was interesting. It was a whole vibe or whatever in the beginning, right? So it was interesting. But we move on to Ori having sex with his girlfriend at the time, Deborah. Okay, Deborah is a very spiritually in tune woman. She's into conspiracy theories, astrology, possibly the occult. Definitely, she know about some hidden knowledge and stuff like that, and the metaphysical and all those different belief systems slash religions that exist here on planet Earth. She's very well versed when it comes to spirituality. I'm just going to say that. From what I understand, from what I saw, Deborah also likes to wrap her hair to protect her crown chakra because obviously she's very enlightened. And we'll see that throughout the movie. And Ori is having sex with her, and it felt very robotic, right? It felt like left pump, right pump, pump, pump. Let me get a nut, that type of deal. And it felt so staged, and you could tell that there was some friction in the connection. And all of a sudden we jumped to different scenes where Deborah was talking to her friend, and she said, I just feel like me and Ori just not on the same wavelength like we used to be. Like we're not, vibing like how we used to. You know what I mean? Like things just not the same. Like he's not the same guy that I'm used to dealing with. So it was crazy. And I was just like, wow. It was just interesting how she was talking about that, and I was just like, damn. Basically, like, the sex ain't hitting on shit like it used to, the conversation's not the same, he's going out or whatever. And her friend looking like, well, you better basically tell him what's up, you know what I mean, so he could get it together and know that you ain't playing with him. So one night, from my understanding, Ori came in and he had been hanging out with the guys, with the fellas, his bros or whatever. and he had been out for a while, and I think that's the tipping point which triggered Deborah and made her kind of snap. You know what I'm saying? Because she was like, you know what? Just get the fuck out. Basically, like, here's your shit. I don't need you anymore. I need a man that's enlightened, that knows who he is. Cause she was like, I want a man that knows who he is, not like you. I need a man that understands that I'm a queen, not like you, and this and this and this. And she went on and on and on, okay? And next thing you know, we cut to another scene. And I believe Ori worked at a car wash. And I think he either washed cars or he was security at the car wash too, from my understanding, because I could have sworn he had like a security shirt on or something as well. But I digress, okay? So, girl, I don't know why I thought the window was open. I feel a breeze up in this motherfucker. But anyway, um, it's crazy, and I was just like, wow, this is some crazy stuff, y'all. Let me adjust this uh camera because it's a little extra bright. Okay, and he went to like an apartment or townhome or something he lived in, and I assumed that that was Ori's house because or apartment or whatever, because it looked like at first I thought him and Deborah lived together, but from my understanding, maybe not. Okay, that was a little slightly confusing because they really didn't harp on that a lot, but that's neither here or there. So we sit up here and we noticed that it was a really cool song, very melodic guitar riff, going on in the background. This guy was singing this song, and it was pretty cool because it started raining, and when it rains, it pours, and it also could represent feeling brokenhearted too. Like when you think you start reminiscing and you start having nostalgia and daydreaming about your past love. And if I recall correctly, this is when he started having flashbacks of him and Deborah and how things used to be. Deborah used to look more, I guess you would say, worldly. She used to wear her dresses, her kind of short dresses and her 5-inch heels and her eyelashes and her hair dipped like a purple-ish color or something like that. And she seemed more like she was of the world maybe then, and she was operating from a different frequency. But apparently it looked like Deborah was having some type of spiritual growth, and her and Ori just weren't clicking in that area because he thought she was a weirdo. He thought, oh my God, my woman is turning into a weirdo and it's that and the third. And he just didn't want to deal with her no more. And it seemed like he wasn't as sexually attracted to her anymore because she changed her outer appearance. She was had a more woke, you know what I'm saying, type of look. Head wraps, looser clothing, more casual, not as maybe glammed out as she was before. So, after they played this really cool song, really nice melodic beat, Ori, from my understanding, I believe this is the next when he went to the lake or pond or something. It looked like it was a pond, and he made a wish like, I want me a fine ass woman, bad bitch with a nice body and nice feet, no coins, because I don't want none of that shit. He was very aggressive with his wish too. And I said, oh boy, here we go with this shit. I want her to be fine and this and this and have a nice body and blah, blah, blah. He basically kept repeating himself, so you knew that he was serious about this. Oh boy, he was on one, you know what I'm saying? He was tripping for real. And he really, 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 really wanted this dream woman. He flipped a coin and it flew in a pond. Next thing you know, this woman come out of nowhere. This is the succubus. This fool sat up here and conjured up a whole damn succubus, baby. Out of control. And she come up to him looking like, hey, you like what you see? Type of shit. Like, oh, am I the girl you've been dreaming about or begging or asking for? And he looking like, hell yeah, So we get a glimpse of this woman, and She's athletic, built, you know, slim, thick type of chick. Um, she wasn't over the top, but she was what he wanted, apparently. But that's why they named the movie Be Careful What You Wish For, because it came at a price. Yeah, you may look nice on the outside, but her inside wasn't good because she was a whole fucking demon. She was a succubus. She came off with the seductive, you know, type of energy, you know what I mean? The cutesy thing, like, oh yeah, like kind of like I'm down for whatever. Want to play? Like that type of shit. You know, she was on that type of stuff, right? So he took her to this restaurant. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Before I went, I'm going too fast. Like, slow down, High Priestess Tana. Let's go back. Back it up. Back that ass up. All right, so Ori nor she had a car, right? So next thing you know, she stopped these dudes like on some, you know, woo woosah shit, you know. Like she stopped these guys in a car and her eyes turned black, y'all. Her eyes were all the way black. I was like, what the fuck? She made the dudes get out the car. I think it was a white and black dude who were friends and shit. They got out the car. Next thing you know, they gave up the keys. The car looking like Boo Boo the Fool. Both of them looking like Boo Boo the Fool and Boo Boo the Fool Jr. I said, what in the hell? Then they went to a restaurant. But my thing is, another thing I thought was interesting, from my understanding, it looked like she was eating a whole lot of food. Like, just killing that shit. Tearing that shit up. And this was a little woman. Like, she was a petite woman. That's why I said, damn, he looking like, I know he was looking like, damn, girl, when the last time you had a good meal? You know, some shit. And I was like, he's a man and wasn't even eating half as much as her. But you gotta think, she hadn't had that earthly food in a minute because she's straight from, I guess you would say, the dungeons of hell or the pits of hell. So they were talking and little small talk, and I think he slipped up and still was calling Deborah his girlfriend, and she looking like, don't you mean ex-girlfriend? The fuck? You better recognize, you better pay attention to me. Okay? So, we also cut to scenes with them like going out with each other, having fun, enjoying each other's company. For example, Ori had took her to one of his friends' houses, or his friend's houses, or friend's house or whatever. And she was there, and of course she changed her look a lot, like her wigs and stuff like that. And next thing you know, this is what I'm about to get to, the important part. She walked in a pool, and the pool turned black. Everybody was like, what the fuck? Yo, your girl she on some other shit, my nigga. Like, I don't know if this a demon or what, but this bitch evil, okay? And you could tell she was looking at the other women like, I can't stand you. You know, because succubus are also very jealous energies, you know what I'm saying? So she was looking around and she was looking like, shit, whatever. And it was crazy. And then we jumped to a scene where they had went out to the park or something. She was like, do you mind if I dance for you? And it was crazy because she did like this little strip tease or whatever, but she still had her clothes on, but it was kind of like a strip tease type of dance. It was cute or whatever. But then we also saw when they went to like the go-kart place, and it was a girl there that Ori was kind of paying attention to, kind of, you know, vibing with, whatever. And she was looking like, bitch, don't touch my man. But the funny part was that she really wasn't officially his girlfriend per se. And Ori was just so enamored by this woman, right? So check this out. I missed a very important part to mention. Before she was sent, quote unquote, to Ori, she was also talking to another demonic, so-called demonic energy. Who was this? Was it Semiramis or whatever? Who's supposed to be the mother and wife of Tammuz or Nimrod or whatever? And it was crazy because she was talking to, I believe, that energy and some other female succubus slash Jezebel energies. She spotted him. He was a mark. He didn't know it, but he was a mark. He was a target that she's looking like another victim, another dummy. I got this. Oh yeah. And from my understanding, she was supposed to represent Lilith, the one that was affiliated with Ori, who was supposed to be his new love interest slash so-called girlfriend. And I said so-called because it seemed like he was kind of not completely over Deborah at that stage, but eventually the succubus slash Lilith energy that he was dealing with, she basically started getting his mind off Deborah. So another thing I noticed too was Deborah, she ended up bumping into Ori and Lilith slash succubus while she was at Barnes and Noble slash, it was like a Barnes and Noble slash Starbucks situation going on where it was like a Starbucks on the outside and it was like a Barnes and Noble on the other side. So as soon as the demon lady saw or the Lilith slash, excuse me, succubus saw Deborah, she was like, I don't feel so well. This, that, and the other. And she went to the bathroom and I think she may have started coughing up some black stuff or coughing up some shit, whatever. I can't remember, but I remember her doing that. But I don't know, can't remember if it was like black stuff or something. It was crazy, I know that. And next thing you know, in between, I wanted to point out some very important scenes, y'all. So come to find out, these other succubus energies were actually going around the city. It was like a legion of them, okay? It was a legion of these women or female spirits because they were actually real women. They were actually demons in the flesh, right? They were going around basically luring men in their trap seductively by either having sex with them or making romantic gestures or whatever with these men. And next thing you know, they bite them, and these men are also turning into demons or incubus type of energies. You know what I'm saying? So we let's roll back the tape a bit. So at that same bar and grill slash strip joint place that we keep seeing throughout the movie, come to find out, there were other succubus slash Jezebel energies that were on the prowl looking for men to suck the life out of and drain their ass and bring hell and destruction to them. They had assignments too. So all hell was breaking loose through the city, baby. And this was in Texas. Some part of Texas, I want to say like Houston or something like that. I could be wrong. But it was some part of Texas where it looked like it had a lot of black people. I would say Houston, maybe. Next thing you know, one of Ori's friends had got bit by a succubus, and he turned into a demon as well. And then it cut to the scene where, but I'm gonna wait to come back to that because it's gonna go down in a minute, y'all. So next thing you know, what was I about to say? They went to the club. I think this was Ori and the Succubus had went to the club, or did the Succubus just go by herself? I can't remember. She had like these black and white striped pants on, and I think she may have had a red shirt on too, but she definitely had some black and white striped pants on. She came in there and she was, casing the joint and stuff like that. And next thing you know, she put these women under mind control. And if you seen the movie Leprechaun in the Hood, please tell me y'all seen that. I've seen that several times, where he would take his little powers like, and the women would turn into zombie hoochies or whatever, like they was like little zombie hoes or whatever. And it's wild because she started doing this dance number. And they were like, I ain't here to play no games. Da, 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 da. They was up there, rock with my baby, and I da 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 da. Just just killing it and shit. Next thing you know, the music started slowing down, almost sounding chopped and screwed and shit. And then next thing you know, they just was like, and they went back into like formation or something. It's crazy. And then they sat down like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, what just happened to me? It was crazy. She made them act crazy. And next thing you know, let's see. I'm trying to just highlight the most important parts. Oh, they also showed the scene where the guy who got his car stolen while he was with his friend. He said, "Man, I'm telling you, this bitch was evil. Her eyes were like black. I remember that, and she just stopped us and took my car and blah blah blah. It was like I was frozen or some shit. I don't know, something like that he was saying." But it looked like the police was like, "Fool, you think we believe that shit? You just an idiot or something. You let a motherfucker just take your car. You're stupid, basically." I'm like, damn. But also we cut to another scene which I thought was important, how these other succubus energies were also getting lured. We're also luring the men to have sex with them. And I believe these were some of Ori's friends / affiliates or associates as well. And it looked like they were having a party or something. I don't know if that had to be Ori's house, because this wasn't a really big place like that. Because his other friend had a bigger house and he had a swimming pool. And this looked like this was Ori's house, where they had invited some chicks over. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, okay. Anyway, it looked like they were invite some chicks over, and these chicks basically were succubus energies, okay? And they were very sexual, and they were getting all, how would I say it? They were getting all seductive and romantic for these guys, and next thing you know, it was just kind of like a killing spree where they were biting the shit out of all these dudes, turning them into demons themselves. And or incubus, which is the male sex demon, and succubus is the female sex demon. Okay. Now, also, we cut to a scene where Ori was about to have sex with this succubus / Lilith energy. That he had been dealing with, because they had never had sex with each other. They were just hanging out, chilling, just having fun or whatever, enjoying the moment. She had on this red lingerie and stuff, and she was getting all sexy for him, and She lit this candle and stuff. And as soon as she was about to like start riding him or having sex with him or whatever, Deborah popped up and was like, "You get away from him, you demon," and blah blah blah, and I rebuke you, and this, that, and the other. And she started going on and on and on, and she basically was just like repelling her, like I rebuke you in the name of Jesus and all this. And she went off, and she was basically saying some type of prayer or some type of yeah, like a prayer to repel her or to remove her or detach herself from Ori, because Ori looking like, "I don't want to deal with you no more, and I don't want to, deal with your weird ass and this and that, you crazy," and all this other shit. But meanwhile, she was actually saving this man's life, and he didn't even want to realize it. Okay, so he was just acting a fool, and I'm looking like it shit got real, because old girl, I think she had him tied up or something, and she was about to bite him and turn him into a demon. It was wild, y'all. And the whole time, and it shows that Deborah still had feelings for Ori, because she was trying to really talk to him again when she bumped into him at that Barnes and Noble / Starbucks place. And she really wanted to try to make amends with him. But another thing I wanted to point out, while she was at that bookstore, she was reading about Aquarius, the zodiac sign Aquarius, which is the water bearer, or some people say the water carrier, because in Latin it do translate to water carrier. Um, but this water, so-called water that's coming out of the basin, or however you put it, represents knowledge and intuition and other things, right? When it comes to the zodiac sign Aquarius, I would also like to mention that at that time, people were saying that we were in the age of Aquarius, like the age of Aquarius may have just began or something. That's from what I was understanding. And a lot of people was talking about that around that time, because you got to think this was in 2021. Okay. And people were talking about energy shifts and all that a lot. And things that were hidden will no longer be hidden. It will be out there. Changes will come out the blue, and sometimes it may not be easy, but it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. We have had a lot of change in technology and stuff, especially with AI and everything like that. So, but as anyway, going back, and I'm thinking that Deborah was an Aquarius herself, because I noticed she did have like some blue looking contacts on, and I'm also thinking that represent that water, like a water. Even though Aquarius is an air sign, it represents water carrier, water bearer type energy, and I'm thinking that blue could represent the water flowing out of the pot or the basin or whatever they call it. Okay, so also I'm trying to think, would people argue and say that, was Jesus considered a Capricorn or an Aquarius? No, he was not considered an Aquarius, but from my understanding, some people would associate with him with the zodiac sign Pisces, because of the symbol with the two fish, which represents themes of spirituality, compassion, sacrifice, and immersion of physical and spiritual worlds. But what does Aquarius represent? Innovation, humanitarianism, intellectual freedom, the water bearer, The air sign is known for forward-thinking mindset and deep dedication to social progress and a greater good. Although the word aqua is in Aquarius, which means water, and it depicts a person pouring liquid or water out of the, basin or whatever. Aquarius, like I said, is still an air sign, and it represents knowledge, truth, and fresh ideas being poured out to refresh and enlighten the world. Okay? And also, it's ruled by the planet Uranus, which is governed by the unconventional. Oh, I'm sorry, which is, and Aquarius is governed by the unconventional planet Uranus, which is associated with sudden changes, rebellion, technology, and strong resistance to conformity. Okay? These people are considered highly independent, analytical, visionary, and community oriented. Now, let's go to the name Deborah. What does Deborah mean? In Hebrew, Deborah means bee or honeybee, and it says it's derived from the root word devar, which means to do. Actually, they said that the name Deborah is actually supposed to be pronounced Devorah. The name also carries symbolic connotations of industry, community, and the sweetness of the spoken word. The most famous Deborah that's considered a notable figure is in the Old Testament, and she was known as Deborah the prophetess. Sorry, why am I saying that weird? A fierce and confident leader and judge of Israel who railed the people into battle. The other was the nurse to the matriarch Rebecca. Bees were highly respected by the ancient Hebrews for their industrious nature, fierce loyalty to the hive, and production of sweet honey. Because it shares a root with devar, the word for speech or to arrange things, some traditions associate the name with communication, counsel, and bringing order to the community. Don't that kind of sound close to what an Aquarius does? I'm just saying. Now, Ori in Hebrew means my light or my illumination. And it's also considered to be a gender neutral name, but it simply means light. I'm thinking that Succubus attached herself to Ori because he did have a light to him, but he got trapped in the world of deception because he wanted so many things in a woman, like that was almost unrealistic in a way. Like, I understand you want somebody nice looking and got themselves together and this and that, but he was kind of over the top, and he didn't realize that he had a good woman already. They just weren't on the same level spiritually. It used to be good times between them two, as we saw in the flashbacks, but it just went downhill because she had a spiritual awakening. He wasn't awakened. Also, some people, from what I'm reading, with the biblical verse, Psalm chapter 27, verse 1, the Lord is my light, Ori, and my salvation. So let's see Ori name meaning in the Bible. Yeah. So they said that the name Ori is a metaphor for divine presence, wisdom, and spiritual guidance. And like I just read with with Psalm chapter 27 verse 1, the name is closely tied to one of the titles of God, Adonai Ori, which translates to the Lord is my light. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Yeah. So also let's talk about the name Lilith, because I believe that's what the succubus name was, who she was portraying really. I can't remember if she actually said it. I thought she did though. The name Lilith has Mesopotamian and Hebrew origins, translating to belonging to the night or night monster or screech owl. Stemming from the ancient Akkadian word Lilitu, it is heavily rooted in mythology as a symbol of independence, rebellion, and feminine power. It has Mesopotamian roots and it traces back to the Sumerian word Lil, meaning wind or spirit, and Akkadian Lilitu, referring to a nocturnal demon or wind spirit. Y'all, that got me thinking of y'all. Look, it got wind spirit. Y'all already know what I'm probably thinking. The damn exorcist, y'all. With that demon, I ain't gonna say the name. But anyway, um, it says in the Hebrew, briefly in the Hebrew Bible, Isaiah chapter 34, verse 14, where it is translated as a night creature or screech owl haunting desolate places. Lilith was also known as Adam's first wife in the Garden of Eden, right? So, unlike Eve, who was made from Adam's rib, Lilith was created from the same earth as Adam, supposedly. And the legend holds that she was banished from the Garden of Eden after refusing to be subservient to Adam, choosing freedom and equality over submission. So basically, a lot of feminists also like the name Lilith because it represents female autonomy, strength, and refusal to be controlled. And I've noticed that there are a lot of women named Lilith. I noticed that. Yeah, some people say that it's just the feminine form of a word meaning demon or spirit. But yeah, also, let's see, what does succubus mean? Succubus comes from the late Latin word succuba, meaning strumpet or paramour. It says it is rooted in the Latin word succubare, which translates to lie beneath, from sub meaning under and cubare meaning to lie down. In medieval folklore, this literal translation described a demon in female form that will visit men in their sleep to seduce them and have intercourse, essentially lying under them. And their incubus, yeah. Well, the male counterpart to a succubus is an incubus. It says, Lilith, they do consider her to be a succubus energy, so that's true. They say that a succubus is a female demon who was described in various European folklore as appearing in the dreams of male humans in order to seduce them, like I've just mentioned. And incubus means to lie on top. So that means that the male sex demons would come lay on top of women and have sex with them while they were asleep. Y'all, what in the This is a mess right here, child. Let me get off this. That bad energy, hell no. Alright, but anyway, Deborah went off on girl and she just she cursed her out, and not like cursed like with actual curse words, but she went off. She basically exorcised that bitch, and she was all contorting and shit. The sucker was like bones cracking and shit, pop blocking and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this? That shit was hilarious, y'all. And it ended with this song called Leaving Babylon System. And it was crazy. I liked the song was lit though. It was lit. But it was crazy how it ended, because it was like it didn't have a lot of instrumentation in the background. It was just like mostly spoken word. Like rapping and spoken word. And I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Y'all, that's the end of this review. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I know I had to do this twice, but damn it, I'm back. And it's all good. Y'all have a beautiful rest of y'all day. Peace. I love y'all, and I'll be back soon with another video. I have some more content uploaded today. All right.